I'm Ramsey and this is Josh. I'm a hairstylist at Beauty Bar Boutique in Wilmington, North Carolina. And like many of you, we have been asked to stay home for the last, month or so. And a lot of my clients, I'm sure, are in need of haircuts. Josh here is desperately in need of a haircut. So our kids are in bed and I was gonna cut his hair tonight. But first I wanted to record a little video on a quick cleanup, which is what I usually do at the beginning of a men's haircut anyway. And that way, if your spouse or roommate or brother or boyfriend or any male or short-haired person living with you right now is in need of a cleanup to make them feel a little better and not so scruffy, this is a really easy, very, very basic, quick tutorial on how to do that. All right, so you're gonna need 2 of 3 items. You're gonna need some little trimmers, like this guy right here. This is a wall peanut. Most guys probably have some form of beard trimmer or neck trimmer. They might have clippers. I find that clippers are a little too bulky, so I like to use something that's a little smaller that I can get, really close and detailed with. You can also use scissors. These are mine. You want to use something that's really sharp. I wouldn't recommend using like your kitchen scissors or anything like that, but desperate times call for desperate measures, so use what you can. Just as the scissors are pushing the hair, you're gonna have a harder time. And a lot of times when scissors are not sharp, they'll push the hair. So trimmers are probably gonna be the easiest, but I'm gonna actually show you both ways. And then you're going to need a comb like this one, something with fine teeth. Okay, so the first thing I usually clean up on guys are their eyebrows. A lot of guys will have some little wily ones that will grow out. Some have more than others. Josh doesn't have very many. So what I like to do is I like to take the fine teeth of my comb like this, and I comb down on the eyebrows and just see if there are any that are really sticking out. I can see one right here, and I just take off the very, very tip. I mean, we're talking 1/8 of an inch here. Do not go crazy on the eyebrows. You can also comb up to see if any are sticking, out above where the natural shape of the brow is. But usually, you really only get like 1 or 2 hairs, but it really makes a difference. So I did that one with my trimmers. You just comb and then you just run your trimmer on the edge of the comb like this, and that will get that little eyebrow hair off. On this other side, I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to brush down and see if any little hairs are sticking out. I can see one. Sometimes when you brush down, you can't catch the hair. So if it is easier to comb up, you can sometimes catch that little hair. And like I said, it's just like 1/8 of an inch. Very, very small amounts here. You can always go back and cut off more if you need to, but you can't glue anybody's eyebrows back on. So now I'm gonna have Josh turn to the side. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean up the area around his ear and then the side of the bottom of his hairline down here. I'm gonna use trimmers on this side, and then I'll use my scissors on the other side. So what I like to do is I like to comb the hair back this way so I can easily see what needs to be trimmed. So not a whole lot, and really you're just using this little motion here. It's the same motion as you would use turning a doorknob, or really turning a doorknob is the best metaphor for it. But just want to use a nice smooth motion to just take off the very ends. And you can go in and you can take off a little bit at a time. But you don't want to start out taking off too much, because like we talked about before, you can't put any back on. So smaller amounts in, greater increments is better. When you get to the top of the ear right here, you want to push the ear down with your hand, and then you can just go in and clean that little corner up. You don't want to press too hard on the skin with the trimmers because you can actually, the skin up here is really delicate and you can actually cut the skin. So just be really careful and make sure you're only cutting the hair. And then you want to comb the hair down and find and see if you have any other hairs that are kind of sticking out and need to be trimmed up. You can go in with your trimmers at an angle. I'm really only cutting with this one little corner of my trimmers. Go in and you just carve out what needs to go. You can just do a little bit at a time. You don't want to take too much out of this little bit back here because then they get what we call the hearing aid and they look really goofy. So just take a little bit off. Go back up there on that ear that you have pushed down. Go in just with the corner of your trimmers right here. And then you can take the flat of your trimmers here and you can etch out this line as it makes its way up. I encourage you to try to use their natural hairline. Don't try to make any new shapes in there. Just keep it as, you know, the smallest amount of hair that you're removing, the better. So now I'm going to have Josh turn around, and I'm actually going to use my trimmers on this back part. Josh does have a little bit of hair on the back of his neck. Some guys do, some guys don't. He is blessed in that area. So what I like to do back here is I actually like to create a swivel shape. So basically I like to start out by making a straight line and then I'll just soften the corners here. So it's not really rounded and it's not like super chiseled and square, but it's just a swivel. Actually, I'm gonna have Josh turn this way because I can't see quite as well. You don't want to be right up on the hair when you're doing this because then you can't see what you're doing. You want to, can you scoot up just a little bit? There we go. You want to be far enough away that you have a good perception in your vision. So I like to start in the middle and then continue my line. I'll take my comb sometimes and I'll draw this hair down so that I'm making sure I'm getting every little hair in this hairline. And I'm just trying to follow the natural shape of his hairline. Just where it goes from his hair being really thick to being a little more sparse, and you can tell that it's neck hair versus hair that's supposed to be on his head. And then I'll continue that line over. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just cutting a very straight line. That's all we need. I'm not ready to make this swivel shape yet. I'm just cutting a nice straight line along the neckline, and then I'll go down here and I'll get any of these little hairs that are kind of peeking out on his neck. Very carefully, very slowly. You want to make sure you have good lighting, and then you can actually turn. So I was cutting with this part. You can turn your blade over and use the flat of it to get a little bit closer. Now, I am no barber, so I'm sure any barbers that are watching this right now are probably cringing at my barbering skills, but this is how I clean up my guys. All right, now I'm gonna have him turn around so you can see. Now he's got a nice straight line, and so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in these corners right here and I'm gonna soften them just a little bit, just the tiniest bit, going like a diagonal. And connect that. And see how that just softens that? but it still is in his natural hairline, like the realm of where his natural hairline is. So over here, do the same thing on this side. There you go, nice clean neckline. All right, now this side I'm gonna use my scissors just in case you don't have trimmers at home. If you don't have trimmers at home, I forgot to mention this, and you need to do the neckline, you can always use a razor. Just be really careful because especially if it's a razor with like 2 or 3 blades, it can be, and then like especially the like 5 blade crazy razors, it can be really hard to get a nice straight line, a really precise line. So you just want to do like the neck area and maybe not mess with the hairline. But you can definitely use that kind of like a face shaving razor, excuse me, shaving razor. That one's hard to get out. On the neckline. Just use a little bit of water and maybe even a little shaving cream so that you don't give them any razor burn back here. So, but onto this side. So when I cut with scissors, I do the same thing. I'll comb this hair back towards the ear so I can see what needs to be cut. And then I'll take my scissors and I'm making sure I'm holding their ear, and then I'll cut this line. Just like that. And what that does is it'll clean it up, and then I'll comb again, make sure that there aren't any little hairs that I might have missed, and there are some. So see where if your scissors aren't sharp enough, that can really pose a problem, because if it's pushing that hair, then it's not actually cutting it. So trimmers are really the easiest, but just in case you don't have them, now you'll know how to do scissors. You're gonna hold down the ear. You can actually probably put your comb down while you're doing this part, because a lot of, if you're not a hairstylist, you probably don't know how to hold your comb while you're cutting. That's definitely something that like we really practice hard to do. So you can hold the ear down with your non-cutting hand and then push this hair down with the comb, put your comb down, and just very carefully cut around this ear. Now, like I said, the skin is very delicate, so it's very easy to cut. So make sure you're not cutting the ear of your quarantine roommate, whoever they may be, because we want to maintain good, healthy, strong relationships with the people that we're in lockdown with, right? We don't want to cut their ears. So then you can go around. I'll put my comb down so it's not in your way. Go around and you're just taking off a little bit at a time. You don't need to go crazy. Take your time. There's usually one little bit right there at the top of the ear that likes to hide. Comb that down a couple times and it will show itself. Just be patient. And just follow their natural hairline. And this will help get it up off their ears and make them feel a little more cleaned up. And then you can just go in with your scissors again right along that edge on their hairline and clean it up. And there you have it. So that is my typical little 15-minute cleanup that I do on guys before I cut their hair. It's also a complimentary service that we always do at Beauty Bar. So a lot of my male clients, they'll come in, they'll get a haircut, and then 2 weeks later they'll come in and I'll do a cleanup on them, and it just really helps their hair, their haircuts stay looking really nice. And then they'll come in another 2 weeks and go ahead and get that haircut. So hope you guys have a great day. And if you have any questions, you can always message us at Beauty Bar, and good luck.